own thing. It's there. Look, you mentioned it. The fact that this team's going to be like this at least for the next few years. And I'm wondering, Chet Holmgren of the big three that we talk about, probably showed the bigger peaks and valleys, a lot of valleys, I think, especially in this series. He wasn't as quite as successful, perhaps, in some of the stats and some of his performances, maybe the other two guys seem to be, which means there's a lot of room for improvement, which is
Right.
scary. All that to ask, is there a world in which we could see three All-Stars on this team?
We might get to four if they continue to play this way. We've seen it before, right? Like if they were on the run that the Cleveland Cavaliers were on this year,
Hmm.
you might would have seen everybody in that starting lineup at least get a look, at least have some attention put on them, like a Lou Dort or somebody like that as a fourth would have that attention on them. But yeah, we watched Chet. He had his struggles. He's a young player. He's going to get better. His game is also going to expand as this team continues to grow. But again, when you have a team that's so deep that can play the way that they play, hey man, just throw something in a pot. Just give us, yeah, just give us something. Have a presence. Make impactful plays, and I think Chet was able to do that last night on the defensive end. He got 2 blocks off of a missed free throw. Like nobody's it's not a lot of guys that are gonna be taller and athletic and Chet. It's only gonna be a handful. And he's right there. So he's right there in rare air with guys that are 7 foot, that can put the ball on the ground, that can have an impact on the defensive end, that can shoot it and defend the way that he does. And he was impactful. Like, did his numbers jump out on you? Did they jump off the stat sheet? No, they didn't. He didn't have any big games, but he was impactful every single game. And that's what you love to see from a young guy. And now that he's a champion, now that he's been able to see it through, he's been able to get to the mountaintop, that experience alone is going to be it's going to be countless amount of games that they're going to play in this next season that he's going to be able to tap into their experience and get him over the edge based on those experiences. And so you love to see that. You love to see a guy's game grow right in front of you. And like we said, this team, they're primed to be a problem for years and years to come. Even when he was injured this year, they kept rolling. They kept rolling like nothing happened. And then he's back into the lineup. And it was seamless for him to be added back into the lineup. And now to see it all unfold and to see it through, all of these guys are going to be a problem for years and years to come for the league.
Here's what I find fascinating. And I don't remember a lot of stats, and sometimes they just go one in your ear, one out the other. But this Thunder team, second youngest title team ever. That's since the 70s and the Blazers. Fourth team to ever win 84 games in a season. Fourth. That's it. 12 wins by 30 or more points. That's the most in NBA history. They also outscored teams by over 1,200 points in the season, which is also the most in NBA history. And I'm wondering, and it might be an age thing, and it might be just, oh my God, they're so young, my brain hasn't fully processed it yet. When you look back and you think of all the great teams in the course of this league, like this team's in there, right? Like you can't not put them
Yeah.
in a conversation. Is it because they're so young that some of us are just sort of pausing?
You have to put them in the conversation. But you know what? Another thing, Beetle, we're watching stars get created. Like usually when we get to this place, they're
Mm,
already stars. They're already
yeah.
household names. Kevin Durant's, LeBron's, Steph Curry's, and so on and so forth. These guys are already household names. We were watching these guys create legacy in real time. We watched the Alex Caruso become a household name. We watched Chet Holmgren become a household name. We watched Jalen Williams become a star in front of our eyes. We watched SGA become a household name, a superstar right in front of our eyes. And so I think that's the difference in comparing them to champions of the past because, when you're looking at a Steph Curry and LeBron James matchup,
True.
we already know who these guys are already. We already know. Either way that championship goes, it's just another notch on their belt to add to their legacy. These guys were at point A of creating their legacy. I think that's why we're looking at this in a different manner. But once we stop and they put 2 or 3 championships together, then we can give them their flowers and say, you know what? That was an MJ run. That was a Steph Curry, LeBron James run. And because those guys don't have that type of fan base as of yet, I think we'll start seeing, the beginnings of that next season as they go on the road. Now you'll start to see the crowds be different when you go on the road. Now you're gonna see those
Huh.
those Jalen Williams and those Chet Holmgren jerseys in the crowd. You're gonna see the Alex Caruso jerseys in the crowd. And these are role players. These are guys that played their roles and did everything necessary to put them into this position. And so because of that, they are in a different position than we've seen, as finals pass. And with some of these teams and with some of these personalities that we've grown so accustomed to cheering for in the finals.
Yeah, it's like they don't have that crazy character. They're all just so chill. I mean, they are legitimately
They
chill.
don't have any individuality. Like none of these guys are,
No.
as
Like Caruso's the spiciest. He's the one that gets the
yeah.
most amped. Like maybe Hartenstein, but even then, like that's
Yeah, and I haven't even mentioned Hardenstein, but I was saying like even as much separation as SGA has created for himself, I still look at them as a collective. I
I
still look at
know.
them as a unit, as a group. So I love what they built. I love the culture that they've created out there. Shout out to them guys, man. You love to see it. I think this is great for the league and this is great for the
I
fans
do
that they can.
too.
Yeah.
I love this, and for me it was always going to be an interesting series. And I get that people that don't watch had their own strong opinions. I'm glad they had
Yeah.
those. But OKC, the fact that they're returning everyone, that we have to look ahead because Mama does like her futures bets. She likes to pick those up early and see what she can do. Favorites, by the way, to win the title, and not really even close because they're at plus 220. Second best odds to come back and win next year are the Cavs at plus 800. Like, are we looking at a little dynasty run here? Like, what are we thinking?
Quite possibly. We might quite possibly be looking at the beginning of a run for OKC. I'll start in the Eastern Conference. We don't know where Boston stands now with Jason Tatum out. Unfortunately, we don't know where Indiana stands now with Halliburton being out. We don't know where Milwaukee stands with Giannis and free agency with Dame Lillard being out. So many questions in that coast. So you got to give Cleveland a nod because they're the most healthiest team. They're the team that's going to come back in one piece. The injuries that they had were things that can be healed and resolved over the summer. So they're going to come back in one piece. They're going to be great. Then in the Western Conference, you still got a lot of questions in the Western Conference. Where is Dallas going to be? What
Hmm.
are the Lakers going to add? You just traded Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets, who were a 2 seed the
Oh, right.
majority of this year. You don't know where they're going to stand. Now you don't know where Phoenix is going to stand. There's so many questions around both of these conferences that you just don't know where it's going to go, with the exception of OKC. They got out of this season whole. Now they have a short off season to get prepared to get back to it, but they got all of their pieces. They're the only consistent that you can really understand and kind of root for. So with all things considered, I know that the season has only been over about 12 to 13 hours, but they look like the favorites to do this again based on where they stand and how this team is built.
They really did. Knock on wood. They got some health, a little
Yeah.
luck of the health bug there. 2.5 rings before it's all said and done. Over under.
I would say over. I would say
Hmm,
over. I
okay.
don't see anything that's standing in their way right now. They're so young, they're gifted, they're connected. They got great coaching, they got great leadership in their front office. They got a great fan base. Like they check all of the boxes. The only thing that can derail these guys is injuries, and not just one injury. It's gonna have to take like three or four, knock on wood, three or four of these guys to go out because of how strong this team has been playing and how they're built. They're built to last. A ton of assets if they wanted to play in the market. If it starts going left, they got enough
Hmm.
assets they can go out there and figure it out and go get another high level guy in there to keep this thing going. But right now, I don't need it. So I'm gonna hold all my assets and everything that I have that's worth something, I'm gonna put it in my pocket until it's needed. And so that makes them dangerous. And that makes them one of those teams that you're gonna have to buckle up and see what they be able to create and what they're able to accomplish for the next few years while they're still together.
God, they're over there just hoarding stuff. And if they need it, they can just be like, "Oop, oh, forgot we had all these things over here. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Yeah.
Um, I know that there are those that hate super teams. They hate small market teams. They really just hate everything. Because when you
They
think
hate
about it,
everything.
it's
We
they hate
can't
everything.
get this together. Yeah.
Well, because the arguments contradict themselves. You can't hate super teams and then also hate small market
Hate small
teams.
market
But
teams. Right.
everyone was bitching and whining about this series because here we are, seventh different champion in 7 years. I don't know about what other people think. I don't know what heads of leagues think. I love this, Lou. I
We're in a
love
great
the idea
space.
that every year is fresh.
We're in a great space. Listen, look, Beetle, we're giving our predictions and we're saying that OKC can go on a run, but we know how predictable this league can be. We know how this thing can change overnight. Think about how much we talked about this guy, that guy, night in and night out, and this team and that team. We talked about the Knicks winning a championship at
Oh
one
yeah, we
time
did.
this year. We talked about, think about it, this entire season, we were saying it was going to be OKC and Boston, but it was Boston's championship to lose. Then when they go out, now we're looking at, well, maybe it's Denver and OKC. Whoever comes out of that series is going to be the
True.
champion. And so once OKC gets out of that, now all of a sudden you got this Indiana team that comes out of nowhere. And now we have to respect them. And they take you to 7 games in the NBA Finals. It's so unpredictable. And we can try to make predictions, but things change. I wish people in our business and media can wake up in the morning and do what we did a lot this year because of how much parity it is and say, we were wrong. We were wrong. Wait, Chandler, hold on, but let me
What
get
the
this
hell?
off right quick. But but we were wrong. And it's okay to say we were wrong because of how
Yeah.
unpredictable this season was. Nobody had the answers. Nobody had the answers. Good to see you, Chandler. Welcome. Welcome
Hey,
to
how we
Running.
doing?
Come aside, Chandler. Bene.
Man, it's been a doozy of a day, but I could not show up on the last day, guys.
Wait,
Hey,
so you're
man,
in
good to
Milano
see
right
you,
now?
man.
Like this is